Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to the complete recovery of Masha Basbasha. Many times in life we want to be something, we want to do something. Whether it's we want to be a better parent, we want to be a better friend, a better spouse, a better coworker. But then we get to the end of the day and we look in the mirror and we just don't feel like we're there. Like we've done it. We just feel frustrated, tired, annoyed, wrung out. We just don't feel, there's like this disconnect. Researchers, they call it cognitive dissonance. And it's a very common thing. And research shows that usually when someone's faced with that situation, people are quicker to change their minds than to change their situation. So when faced with, a challenge to, they actually have the opportunity, to put into action what they wanted to do, they change their mind before actually changing their behavior. King Solomon writes about this in Shir HaShirim, in Song of Songs. He writes, I am asleep, but my heart is awake. This is the idea. And the Medrash brings the example how in a very short time we have the Jewish nation serves the golden calf, makes an idol, and then right after also partakes in building the tabernacle of making a home for God in this world. In a very short time. It's a cognitive dissonance. It's like this separation between what we do and what we want to do. The most common areas where we see this is usually when it comes to time and money, because they're both limited resources and we have to decide how we're going to use them. For example, you could have the parent that has always been pushing their kid's school to update their library. It's so outdated, it needs to be updated. And finally the school decides to do it and they send out a fundraiser where they're selling tickets for $300 to update the library. And that's just when the parent was about to make a purchase, a big purchase. And they have this tug of war. Well, this is something I really want to do. I want to update the library. This is something I always wanted to do, but I also want to make this purchase. And so they start rationalizing. They start saying, well, my kid only has a year left before middle school. By the time the library gets updated, they're not even going to be able to, get any benefit out of it. So, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to do with the purchase. They change their mind before changing the situation or their behavior. Or with time, you're about to head out the door to do something relaxing or fun, and someone calls you. Either they want to talk and they want to unload and unburden, or let's say someone calls you, they want to ride somewhere, and you're like, let them just take an Uber, right? I have a limited amount of time, I have some free time, I want to do something fun. Somebody needs a favor, let them take an Uber, right? In all of these situations, they started out with good intentions, but then when the situation presented itself, they changed their minds instead of changing their behavior. Cognitive dissonance doesn't have to be a bad thing. When used right, without all the rationalizations, it can actually be a positive thing. And we see this in this week's Torah portion. Parsha Behaalotecha. One of the things Moshe does is he gives the laws of the Pesach sacrifice over to the Jewish people. That it's to be brought on the 14th day of Nisan, and that's the Passover holiday. But somebody who is ritually impure cannot partake in the Passover sacrifice. Now, there were a group of Jews that were ritually impure, and they came to Moshe and say, Lama nigara, why should we miss out? We also want to partake in the Passover celebration. So Moshe saw their sincerity and went to God. And God said, for these people, for whoever is ritually impure, we will give them a makeup date. On the 14th day of Iyar, a month after the first Pesach, we'll have Pesach Sheni, and they can partake in the Pesach celebration. Here we have a case of cognitive dissonance, right? They could have said, we're not obligated to partake, fine. You don't want our sacrifice, you don't want us to partake, fine, we won't. They could have rationalized, okay. But they said, no, we want to. We're going to change our situation. We're not going to change our behavior, we're going to change the situation. And because of their persistence, not only did they get what they wanted, but till this day, we have this day on the calendar called Pesach Sheni, the second Passover on the 14th day of Iyar. So whenever we're faced with this tug and pull, when push comes to shove, instead of just falling down the trap of rationalizing our behavior, we should try, even if we're not there 100%, we should try and change the situation. You might say, I don't want to do this mitzvah, I don't want to learn this thing, taking this path, doing something positive, I'm not there yet, I'm not holding there. The Parsha teaches us that with cognitive dissonance, it can be a positive thing. Even if you're not there 100%, do it. Do it. Change the situation. Don't try and rationalize why. Don't change your mind. Change the situation. Shabbat Shalom.